thanks for joining us, Maro. I appreciate your time. I imagine the body's a bit sore after the weekend. Firstly, just for those who are kind of watching in who might not necessarily be completely understanding of what rugby is or who Maro is in regards to rugby, he's a current England second row. He's had a kind of a massive part of what England rugby have done and Saracens rugby and the Lions have done the last kind of 4 or 5 years. He's won, I think, 4 Premiership titles, 3 European titles, 3 Six Nations, World Cup final. I think a lot of the stuff that I see on social media would suggest that he's a really kind of good guy as well in regards to education, everything that he's doing in there. So it's an awesome opportunity, and thank you very much for joining us. What we're going to do is start a question. Maro, we are going to save a little bit of a quick fire round at the end to put you under some serious pressure and see how you get on. The first question, we're going to go over to Alessio. So Alessio, if you want to unmute yourself and give Maro your question.
Can you hear me? What have been the biggest challenges you have faced to get where you are now?
Very good question. What has been the biggest challenges I have faced to get to where I am now? I think often when you set out on a goal, you look at the end goal and look at where you are at that point in time, and the end goal often seems like it's something that is far away or like insurmountable or something that requires a radical change to reach that level. But when you focus on just improving on the here and now, day by day, slowly but surely you get closer and closer and closer to that goal, and before you even know it, you've hit it and accomplished it. So in a roundabout way to try and answer that question directly, I would say the biggest challenge I have faced in order to get myself to where I am now is just continual work. Obviously you have distractions here and there, and you can go whichever way, but I think like discipline to stick to task, discipline to do what you believe in, discipline to be true to yourself, and put in the yards that is required for any form of success.
Thank you.
I think, Alessio, that means that we've got to push hard to make sure that we're the best QM team we can be at the minute.
Yeah.
So we're next going to go over to Kylan. So Kylan, do you want to ask your question, buddy?
Have you got any childhood friends who you play with or against now?
Do I have any childhood friends? Well, there's quite a lot of guys here. So I have a cousin. My cousin is Beno Obano. Obviously, we were born 3 days apart. He made his debut this weekend against Scotland. So obviously I play with him and play against him in the Premiership. But there's quite a few players that I came up through the age grade system with, people, and they're all scattered now. So people like Ross Moriarty, I've known him since I was about 15 or so. He currently plays for Wales. Nick Tompkins, we grew up together in the Saracens Academy. He currently plays for Wales. A lot of the like younger guys in the England, or not too young anymore, but people like Anthony Watson, people like Carl Sinclair, Charlie Ewells, all these guys I've played with since I was 15, 16. So there's quite a few of us who I've known from that sort of age, and who I play with or against them now.
And Maro, just a quick one on the back of what Kylan asked. Do you have a chance to chat with them before or after a game? Do you like make a purposeful thing to go and say hello to them and go and kind of offer your condolences and stuff?
After the game, yeah. Before the game, I don't really like conversing with the enemy. But after the game, I would definitely have a chat and have a little catch up.
Brilliant, brilliant. Next question, Harvey, it's over to you.
Morning, mate.
Morning.
What's your favourite moment with Eddie, and what's it like being coached by him?
Eddie's a great coach. He's definitely, in terms of the way he sees the game, his approach to the game, his dedication to the game. There's very few people I've met in my whole life, let alone just rugby, who work as hard as Eddie and who dedicate themselves as much to the game as Eddie. And I think why Eddie's been great for me is he's just like pushed me. He's pushed me. He's demanded more from me. He's praised me when things have gone well, but he's never allowed us to be content with where we are. He's always pushing. He's always looking to get a bit more out of us, out of the team. So yeah, Eddie's a great coach.
That's all, mate. Thank you.
Cheers. Now, and we're going to go over to Tivi.
Hello, my question is, what were you feeling when you walked into the stadium on the night of the World Cup final, and how did you overcome those feelings?
The night of the World Cup final, so after it happened or before it happened?
Before, when you're walking into the stadium, when you versus South Africa.
Well, I felt that was, you know, the arena that I was meant to be in. I felt that was the arena that you know, I've worked hard to get to. So it was a mixture of nervousness. I was nervous. It was obviously a big game. I was excited. I was looking forward to the opportunity. But obviously there was a bit more pressure on that game than previous games. But personally, I just wanted to you know, rip in and hope and obviously try and win. Obviously it didn't go according to plan. But that it was a very great feeling.
And how did you overcome those feelings?
How did I overcome them to play? Well, for me, it's always been the case. Like, I remember I've never been more nervous for a game than my first ever game of rugby. I was 11 years old and I was extremely nervous playing for my school against, I think it was Haberdashers boys' school, and I was incredibly nervous. But when the rugby actually starts, so after the preamble and all the, you know, outside noise has done, and the referee blows his whistle to play the game, all of those things kind of just like go away because you just go back to just play rugby.
Yeah. Cheers, thank you.
We'll get it next time. So next question is going to be with Freya.
Hi. During lockdown, what workouts did you have to complete by yourself?
Yeah, so obviously during lockdown we had to do quite a few individual workouts. But at the start of lockdown, when things were locking down, I quickly installed a home gym in my house. So I was a little bit lucky that I still had weights at home. I still had like a watt bike machine. So I did quite a lot of like upper body and lower body weights, but I also did quite a bit of running on the fields, just to try and keep the body moving and keep the body ticking over. And
what's it like actually in an England training conditioning session? Unbelievably hard? Or?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. The level of intensity goes up. The level of intensity definitely goes up for sure. And it's international rugby is just a lot harder than club rugby, European rugby. It's the highest level.
Cool. Next question, cheers, Freya. Next question is going to be with Kieran.
What's your routine before a big game?
Well, my routine is the same pretty much before every game. And I'm not a very superstitious person, and I try not to be superstitious for this reason. I feel when you're superstitious, you put too much, you assign too much importance to a certain act or behavior, and in life, all you can really do is control the controllables. You control what you can control yourself. However, when you're superstitious, when the environment changes, your superstition may not, or may be, or may not be feasible. For example, like if one of my pre-game routines was every morning I have to have, a bowl of, I don't know, Frosty cereal before for breakfast. We may travel across the world to Australia, and Frosties may not be a thing in Australia. So if I can't eat Frosties before a game, is that going to play on my mind and mean that I'm not going to perform well because I haven't had my Frosties this morning because I'm superstitious? So in terms of my routine, is nothing out of the ordinary. I try and wake up early, get a decent meal in. I try and go as minimal meat as possible on game day. I just feel as if you don't really need too much meat on game day, so I try to go as minimal meat as possible. Obviously, I have a warm-up routine that I do. I have some recovery things that I do, but apart from that, there's nothing really that's out of the ordinary. Obviously, I do my preparation and my analysis work. I get that done nice and early as well.
So then, Maro, you must have played with a lot of different players. Have you seen any strange superstitions? Have you seen anything where you've just kind of scratched your head and thought, what are they doing?
Well, I have a teammate who has to have a haircut before every game. He has to. I was going to be interested to see how he copes now that we're locked up. But he has to have a haircut before every game. If he doesn't have a haircut, it bugs him out massively. I think there's what other weird things have I seen? That's the one that comes to mind, but there definitely are a couple odd ones.
At least they'll always look good, I guess. Next question is going to be with Jack Doody.
You're right. So what inspired you into rugby? And if someone did inspire you into it, who did?
So I don't come from a traditional rugby playing background. My parents are Nigerian. In Nigeria, rugby is not a big thing. So there was never really much pressure on me to play rugby. When I moved from primary school to secondary school, and I moved to a rugby playing school. And as I left that school, I had a headmaster at the time who was like, "Maro, when you move, you should give rugby a go." And I was like, "Okay, cool, I will do." And the school I went to, rugby was the dominant sport. Like all the boys like pretty much played rugby. So I was really I wanted to play rugby to make friends, to meet new people, to socialize, etc., etc. And that I just fell in love with the game. And just haven't really looked back since.
That's fair enough. Also, another question: how tall are you?
195 centimeters.
That's around 6'4", isn't it?
6'5", yeah.
Mm. Oh, I'm 6'5". Sorry.
Yeah, Jack's our current second row, and he's tall. It's always looking up to Jack. It's never looking down. Just on that, so Maro, when you obviously took up rugby, what are your thoughts on? Did you ever think you just needed to play rugby, or did you play other sports as well?
No, when I started playing, I played all sports. Rugby was a dominant sport at school, but in my boarding house, like football was also extremely popular. So we played a lot of football. I played a lot of basketball. I did a lot of athletics. So I was quite varied, and I think it's good to play a lot of different sports, especially when growing up. Obviously, there comes a time when you have to like specialize. But I used to use, my basketball games as my fitness for my rugby games. I definitely think it's good.
Brilliant. Cool. So the next one's going to be with Nathaniel.
Hi. My question is, what was the most challenging team you've had to come up against, international or national?
New Zealand are always quite challenging. They never take it easy. I would say New Zealand. I'll say New Zealand. New Zealand is the tough teams to play. New Zealand, South Africa, probably all the teams that you would kind of expect.
With that then, so just a quick one. With New Zealand and South Africa, when you play against different international teams, do you always think there's a certain thing I'm going to come up against New Zealand in regards to skill or intelligence, or do you have kind of no idea what's coming?
With New Zealand, I think with New Zealand, traditionally they've had they have that physicality, but they also have great rugby players, a great rugby mind, so they're able to play quickly, play to space, etc. But they also combine it with immense physicality, which is why they've been quite tough to play against.
Brilliant. Next one, so we're going to go back to Harvey, please.
Hello again. When you played against New Zealand, was you nervous?
I'm nervous. I'm a little bit nervous before I play every game, and it doesn't really matter if I'm playing against New Zealand or if I'm playing against Doncaster away. I'm always a little bit nervous before every game. I think it's just because, I think for me personally, obviously everyone's a little bit different, but for me personally, if I wasn't nervous at all, it probably means that I don't care. But I'm always, I think a little bit of nerves are good from time to time. Obviously, you don't want this type of nervous energy that consumes you and takes over you. But I think a little bit of nerves are good, keeps you on it.
Fair enough, thanks, mate.
Just Henry's question, just so you can't access it, Maro, but Henry's question was, how did your training regime change from when you first started out to now?
Yeah, good question. So when I first started playing, when I first started playing to about 21, really, it was all about putting on size. It was all about putting on size, putting on weight. So I used to have, eat a lot of calories. I used to train a lot, and it was almost just trying to catch up with the physical nature of playing in the Premiership, of playing international rugby. And now it's more about power. It's more about building power, building reactive strength, and just making sure the fundamentals with regards to my core is solid.
So with your role now, obviously you've kind of grown into a kind of a leadership role within Saracens, etc. Have you gone from someone who has always kind of looked for information, asked for information, now into someone who is giving that information to the younger guys?
I feel as if, well, I think you always, if in whatever leadership role you're in, you always have to leadership is part communication, so you have to always communicate whatever the message is, or ways in which you think you can be better or do better. But now I would say I would still like to think that I still look for information, and because I don't think you ever reach a zenith of information where you know everything and you have all the answers, because I definitely don't have all the answers to all the problems that we have. So I think I would like to think now that I still look for information, look even sometimes to people who are a little bit less experienced than I am, to see what they have to say, because everyone does have their blind spots. But I think as the longer I've spent in the respective teams I've played, I've probably moved more and more into a leadership type of role.
That's good. And is there anyone particularly you think who you've played with in any teams, that could be younger teams, international, whatever it is anyone that you look to and you think actually your way of leadership is something I quite admire or would quite like to aspire to be like?
Yeah, I think there's so I think that's a very good question, and I think leadership is there's core tenets of leadership that apply to almost every team, every organization, whether it's a business, a sports team, things like leading by example, not saying things that you're not willing to do, treat others how you want to be treated, be respectful, be honest, etc. So those core tenets of leadership that apply throughout. However, I do believe that leadership is very much an individual type of thing. So by that I mean, Mr. Fieldhouse, I think you could lead your classroom in a certain way, and that could be an exemplary form of leadership. However, Mr. Warden may also lead his classroom in a different way, but that could also as well be an exemplary form of leadership. So I think each individual has to find the way that is most beneficial to them, which is most authentic to them to lead. So obviously there's people that I look at and I think the way they lead their teams or the way they lead their individuals is amazing. So for example, Michael Jordan, he's with his documentary that came out in the summer, has been hailed for an outstanding as being an outstanding leader, and he definitely was, for sure. But someone like LeBron James, who has a different leadership style, is also an exemplary leader, and where he leads in different ways. So the point I'm trying to make is that I think each individual has to find the way that's authentic to them. I think you can improve. I think you can get better. I think you can learn from different people, and I've definitely learned from others in how I can improve aspects of my leadership.
Cool. So we're going to go to Will now. So Will.
Hi, I'm going to ask you this question. How did it feel winning your first major trophy?
No, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. It was a bit of a surreal moment. I think the first major trophy I won was probably, well, I won a few age grade trophies, but the first major one was probably the LV Cup back in about 2015, 14. And it was just such a high, when you work as a team to achieve a certain goal and you go out and do it, it's an amazing feeling.
Cool. So what we're going to do now, Maro, obviously you've been in some pretty pressured situations, but we're going to put you through your your stakes here. So we're going to do a quick fire, so Queensmead Quickfire Round, which is going to be about 10 questions really quickly. You've got to clear your mind and you've got to answer as honestly as you possibly can. You all right with that?
All right.
Right. These are questions from kids who also asked questions that didn't get a chance to ask them today. So there's a few in there. So first one, how long do you train per week?
Probably about, I don't even know, 20 odd hours, 20.
Cool stuff. What is the best food you have, or what's the best food after you win?
Best food after I win, I would say a burger.
Okay, yeah, good stuff. How many calories do you consume on a full training day?
Good question, and I don't really know the answer to it, but if I was to guess, I'll say around 3,000.
Who's your favourite player to play with in the England squad?
Favorite player to play with, Jamie George.
Jamie George, good stuff. Do you prefer attacking or defending?
I can prefer defending.
Like, yeah. If you were not a rugby player, what do you think you'd be today?
Businessman.
That's really good stuff. How old were you when you first played rugby?
11.
Go back in time to one rugby game. Which one would it be?
Sorry, the line broke up there.
Go back in time to one rugby game. Which one would it be?
I'll go 97 Lions tour where Gus got hit the drop goal.
Love it. Favourite Arsenal player?
Thierry Henry.
World player you would least like to be stuck in a 15-yard channel against?
Say that again, sorry.
Any world player you would least like to be stuck in a 15-yard channel against?
Dead or alive?
Either.
Jonah.
Jonah, yeah. Most intelligent teammate?
Most intelligent teammate. I'll go George Ford.
And I guess this last one's quite good in regards to lockdown and everything. What's your favourite thing to do outside of rugby? So outside of your bubble, the things that you do, what's the thing that gets you away from it all?
Well, in normal times, just spending time with my friends, just chilling, relaxing, taking it easy.
That is you through the quickfire round. So well done, Maro. You made it. Good job.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, Maro. Really appreciate it.